Have you ever wondered why the most self-sufficient men you know seem to keep even their own families at arm's length? It's not coldness, it's not cruelty, it's something far more calculated and, frankly, necessary for their survival. Welcome back to Official Sigma Male, where we decode the misunderstood psychology of men who operate outside the conventional social hierarchy. Today, we're diving into one of the most controversial and deeply personal aspects of the Sigma male experience. Why these men often create distance from the very people who raised them. Before we begin, if you're a Sigma male who's ever felt guilty about needing space from family obligations, or if you're trying to understand a Sigma male in your life, hit that subscribe button. This channel exists to validate your experience and provide the framework that mainstream psychology refuses to acknowledge. Because what we're about to explore isn't covered in family therapy sessions or self-help books written for the masses. Let me set the stage with an uncomfortable truth. Sigma males don't distance themselves from family because they lack love or loyalty. They do it because their fundamental operating system is incompatible with the emotional dependencies, hierarchical expectations, and collective identity that most families demand. And in a world that worships family bonds above individual authenticity, this makes them appear broken when they're actually just different. 1. The autonomy imperative. Let's start with the foundation, the non-negotiable core of the Sigma male psyche. Autonomy isn't just a preference, it's a psychological necessity. And here's where family structures immediately create friction. Most families operate on an implicit contract of interdependence. You need us, we need you. Decisions are made collectively. Your choices are everyone's business because we're family. Your success reflects on the family name. Your failures become family shame. This collective identity model works perfectly fine for alpha, beta, and most personality types. But for the Sigma male, it's suffocating. Sigma males experience autonomy the way most people experience oxygen. When it's present, they thrive. When it's restricted, they slowly die inside. I'm not being dramatic here. Studies on self-determination theory show that individuals with high autonomy experience measurable psychological distress when their agency is compromised. For Sigma males, this isn't about rebellion or stubbornness. It's about maintaining their mental architecture. Here's a practical example. Imagine a 28-year-old Sigma male who's built a successful freelance career. He works remotely, travels frequently, and has designed his life around maximum freedom. Now, his family expects him at every Sunday dinner, every holiday gathering, every cousin's birthday party. Each invitation comes wrapped in emotional obligation. Family comes first. We barely see you anymore. Are you too good for us now? What the family sees as reasonable expectations, the Sigma male experiences as incremental imprisonment. It's not that he doesn't love them. It's that each obligation chips away at the autonomy that allows him to function at his highest level, so he starts declining. Not angrily, but firmly. And the family interprets this as rejection when it's actually self-preservation. The Sigma male knows something that most people refuse to accept. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and family obligations have a unique way of draining that cup faster than anything else. Because family doesn't just want your time, they want your emotional labor, your mental energy, your constant availability. And for a Sigma male, that's an impossible tax to pay while maintaining the independence that defines his existence. This is why distance becomes inevitable. It's not chosen out of malice, it's chosen out of necessity. The Sigma male recognizes that his family's love often comes packaged with control, that their concern frequently masks manipulation, and that their need for his presence conflicts with his need for autonomy. So he makes the calculation: less contact, more authenticity; less obligation, more choice; less family drama, more mental peace. And society calls this selfish. But here's the truth. Prioritizing your psychological survival isn't selfish, it's strategic. 2. When family dynamics clash with Sigma values. Now let's talk about the collision that's almost inevitable, the moment when a Sigma male's core values smash directly into his family's established dynamics. And trust me, this isn't a gentle disagreement. This is tectonic plates grinding against each other. Sigma males operate on a value system that prizes authenticity, meritocracy, and intellectual honesty above social harmony. Meanwhile, most families run on entirely different software. Hierarchy based on age or tradition, emotional manipulation disguised as love, and the unspoken rule that peace matters more than truth. Let me paint you a picture. Thanksgiving dinner. The family's gathered, and Uncle Robert starts spouting political opinions that are factually incorrect. Everyone nods politely because that's just how Uncle Robert is. The beta males stay quiet to avoid conflict. The alpha male might agree to maintain his dominant position. But the Sigma male? He's sitting there watching this theater of comfortable lies, and something inside him rejects it at a cellular level. He has two choices: participate in the performance and betray his values, or speak the truth and become the family villain. Neither option is acceptable, so he chooses option 3. He stops showing up. Because for a Sigma male, participating in collective delusion isn't family bonding, it's spiritual death. Here's what makes this particularly painful. Families punish authenticity. They reward conformity. The Sigma male who calls out toxic patterns gets labeled as difficult or too sensitive, or my personal favorite, thinks he's better than everyone. D. The one who points out that grandma's jokes are actually racist gets told to stop being so serious. The one who refuses to pretend that his brother's terrible life choices are fine gets accused of not being supportive. A clinical psychologist I consulted, Dr. Marcus Chen, who specializes in family systems, explained it this way. Families develop homeostasis, an equilibrium that everyone unconsciously works to maintain. When one member, typically someone with high authenticity needs like a Sigma male, disrupts that equilibrium by refusing to play their assigned role, the family system treats them like an infection to be expelled or neutralized. Brutal, right? But accurate. Let me give you a real-world example. I know a Sigma male, let's call him David, who built a multi-million-dollar business from scratch. His family's response? Instead of celebrating his achievement, they criticized him for working too much and forgetting where he came from. When he offered to help his siblings financially, they accused him of showing off. When he set boundaries about not being available 24/7 for every family crisis, they called him cold. David realized something profound. His family didn't want him to succeed beyond them. They wanted him to stay at their level, to remain dependent on the family structure, to validate their choices by making the same ones. His independence threatened their collective identity. His success highlighted their stagnation. His authenticity exposed their pretense. So what did David do? He created distance, not because he hated them, but because he loved himself more. He recognized that you cannot set yourself on fire to keep others warm, especially when those others are actively trying to douse your flame. The Sigma male eventually understands that family dynamics often require you to shrink yourself to make others comfortable, and that's a price he's unwilling to pay. The price of misunderstanding. Let's address the elephant in the room, the emotional toll of being perpetually misunderstood by the people who supposedly know you best. Because this isn't just frustrating. For Sigma males, it's existentially exhausting. Here's the paradox. Your family has known you your entire life, yet they understand you the least. They mistake your need for solitude as depression, your selective social engagement as arrogance, your boundary setting as rejection, your independence as cold-heartedness. Every single trait that makes you a Sigma male gets misinterpreted through the lens of conventional expectations. And here's what makes it truly damaging. Constant misunderstanding erodes your sense of self. When everyone around you insists that your natural state is a problem to be fixed, you start questioning your own reality. Am I actually broken? Is something wrong with me? Should I just conform to make them happy? I want you to understand something critical. Gaslighting doesn't just happen in romantic relationships. It happens in families. When your mother tells you that normal people don't need this much alone time, that's gaslighting. When your father says real men prioritize family over everything, that's gaslighting. When your siblings mock your need for deep, meaningful conversation instead of surface-level chit-chat, that's gaslighting. Dr. Sarah Williams, a psychologist specializing in personality and family dynamics, puts it this way: when an individual's inherent temperament is consistently invalidated by their primary attachment figures, it creates what we call identity fracture. The person knows who they are, but everyone they're supposed to trust tells them that person is wrong. Let me share a pattern I've observed countless times. The Sigma male tries to explain himself. He articulates his needs clearly, rationally, calmly. He says things like, "I need more space to recharge. I prefer deeper conversations with fewer people. I'm not comfortable with large family gatherings. I show love through actions, not constant communication." And what happens? His family hears, "I don't love you. You're not important to me. I think I'm too good for you. There's something wrong with all of you." The translation is so distorted it's almost comical, except it's not funny when you're living it. It's devastating. Here's a practical example. Michael, a Sigma male in his mid-30s, sent his mother a heartfelt email explaining his need for boundaries. He spent hours crafting it, explaining his psychology, expressing his love while clarifying his limits. Her response? "I don't know where I went wrong raising you. Normal sons don't treat their mothers this way." Read that again. He opened his heart, made himself vulnerable, asked for understanding, and got shamed in return. That's not just misunderstanding. That's weaponized incomprehension. The price of this constant misunderstanding is steep. It's emotional exhaustion from explaining yourself repeatedly and never being heard. It's the guilt that creeps in during quiet moments, whispering that maybe you really are the problem. It's the loneliness of knowing that the people who share your DNA will never share your wavelength. Eventually, the Sigma male does the math. The cost of maintaining close family ties, the constant defending of his nature, the relentless pressure to be someone he's not, exceeds the benefit. So he steps back, not dramatically, not with a big announcement. He just quietly increases the distance until he reaches a radius where he can breathe again. And his family, they confirm their original narrative. See, he really doesn't care about us, never recognizing that they pushed him away by refusing to see him for who he actually is. The tragic irony is that Sigma males often love their families deeply. They just can't survive loving them closely. 4. Protecting mental sovereignty. Now we arrive at what I consider the nuclear core of this entire discussion: mental sovereignty. This is the Sigma male's fortress, his kingdom, his non-negotiable territory, and families, with all their good intentions, are often the greatest threat to it. Let me define this clearly. Mental sovereignty is the absolute right to your own thoughts, beliefs, decisions, and psychological space without invasion, manipulation, or colonization by others. For Sigma males, this isn't a luxury. It's the foundation of their entire existence. Here's what most people don't understand. Families operate on a model of shared mental space. Your problems are their problems. Their anxieties become your anxieties. Someone's crisis demands everyone's emotional participation. There's an expectation of psychological transparency. What are you thinking? How are you feeling? Why won't you talk to us? For most personality types, this creates bonding. For Sigma males, it creates claustrophobia. Think about it this way. The Sigma male's mind is like a sophisticated laboratory where he processes information, develops strategies, analyzes patterns, and creates solutions. It requires silence, focus, and zero contamination. Now imagine family members constantly barging into that laboratory, rearranging equipment, demanding attention, introducing chaos, and getting offended when asked to leave. That's what family interaction feels like for a Sigma male. It's not that he doesn't value connection. It's that connection on typical family terms requires sacrificing the mental environment he needs to function. Let me give you a concrete example. James is a Sigma male who works in software development. He's designed his life around deep work, blocks of uninterrupted time where he can enter flow states and produce exceptional results. His family knows this, yet his mother calls him 3 times a day just to chat. His sister texts him constantly with drama about her relationship. His father expects him to attend every family event and gets hurt when he declines. Each interaction is small. Each request seems reasonable in isolation. But collectively, there are 1,000 paper cuts on his mental sovereignty. His family doesn't understand that they're not just asking for his time. They're demanding access to his mental bandwidth, his emotional energy, his cognitive resources. And here's the manipulation that often occurs. When the Sigma male tries to protect his mental space, he gets accused of not caring or being selfish. The family frames his boundary setting as a moral failing rather than a psychological necessity. They make him feel guilty for needing what he needs. Neuropsychologist Dr. Rebecca Torres, who studies attention and cognitive load, explains, individuals with high need for cognitive autonomy experience what we call attention deficit, when their mental resources are constantly fragmented by social demands. It's not that they can't multitask, it's that their optimal functioning requires sustained, uninterrupted cognitive engagement. Frequent social interruptions literally impair their ability to think at their highest level. This is why Sigma males eventually enforce distance. Because you cannot protect your mental sovereignty while maintaining close family ties with people who don't respect or understand that sovereignty. It's an impossible equation. I've seen this pattern repeatedly. The Sigma male tries to educate his family about his needs. He explains. He sets boundaries. He offers compromises. But families raised on collectivist values interpret individual psychological needs as rejection. They can't separate "I need space" from "I don't love you." So the Sigma male faces a choice: sacrifice his mental sovereignty to maintain family approval, or protect his psychological integrity and accept being misunderstood. For the Sigma male, there's only one acceptable answer. He chooses himself. Because he knows something that took him years to learn: you cannot be your best self while allowing others to colonize your mind. The distance he creates isn't abandonment. It's a DMZ, a demilitarized zone that protects his most valuable asset, his mental clarity. And if his family can't respect that boundary, then the distance must increase until respect is established or contact becomes minimal. Harsh? Maybe. Necessary? Absolutely. 5. The selective intimacy principle. Here's where we get into territory that really disturbs people. Sigma males don't believe that biological relation automatically qualifies someone for deep intimacy. This might be the most controversial thing I say in this entire video, but it needs to be said. The selective intimacy principle is simple. Trust, vulnerability, and deep connection are earned through alignment, understanding, and mutual respect, not assigned through DNA. Just because someone is your brother doesn't mean he deserves access to your inner world. Just because she's your mother doesn't mean she's earned the right to your emotional vulnerability. I can already hear the objections. But they're family. Yes. And that means what exactly? That you're obligated to maintain intimate connection with people who don't understand you, don't support your growth, and actively make your life harder. Let me introduce you to a concept that Sigma males understand instinctively: relational meritocracy. In their world, depth of connection is determined by quality of understanding and mutual value exchange, not by accident of birth. They have limited energy for deep relationships, so they allocate that energy strategically to people who actually enhance their lives. Here's a real scenario. Marcus is a Sigma male with two brothers. One brother, despite not sharing his interests, makes genuine effort to understand Marcus's perspective. He respects Marcus's boundaries, celebrates his successes without jealousy, and offers support without expectation. The other brother constantly criticizes Marcus's choices, makes demands on his time, and uses family obligation as emotional leverage. According to conventional family wisdom, Marcus should maintain equal intimacy with both brothers because they're both family. But according to selective intimacy principle, Marcus allocates his relational energy based on reciprocity and respect. The understanding brother gets deeper access. The demanding brother gets cordial distance, and guess which approach leads to authentic relationships versus obligatory performances? Dr. Anthony Chen, a researcher in adult attachment and family psychology, found something fascinating in his studies. Adults who maintain family relationships based purely on obligation report significantly lower life satisfaction and higher anxiety than those who curate their family connections based on mutual respect and compatibility. Blood relation doesn't predict relationship quality. Values alignment does. This is revolutionary because it challenges the fundamental assumption that family bonds are sacred, regardless of their actual impact on your well-being. The Sigma male rejects this assumption entirely. He recognizes that toxic is toxic. Whether it comes from a stranger or a sibling, that dysfunction is dysfunction, whether it's perpetrated by an acquaintance or an aunt. Let me give you another practical example. Sarah, a Sigma female, yes, they exist too, had a mother who was emotionally manipulative and narcissistic. Every interaction left Sarah feeling drained, guilty, and inadequate. Traditional therapy told her to work on the relationship and honor thy mother. But Sarah applied the selective intimacy principle instead. She reduced contact to brief, structured interactions on major holidays. She stopped sharing personal information that could be weaponized. She created emotional distance that protected her mental health, and her life, it transformed. The constant anxiety disappeared. Her confidence returned. Her relationships with people who actually respected her deepened. Her family called her cold. Therapists questioned her choices. Society judged her. But Sarah knew the truth. You cannot be intimate with people who use intimacy as a weapon. This is what Sigma males understand. Intimacy requires safety. If someone consistently violates your trust, disrespects your boundaries, or uses your vulnerability against you, they've disqualified themselves from intimate access, family or not. The selective intimacy principle leads naturally to distance from family members who haven't earned or don't respect deep connection. And here's the beautiful part. This distance often creates space for healthier relationships with family members who do get it. By refusing superficial closeness with everyone, the Sigma male can cultivate genuine closeness with the few who truly understand him. Quality over quantity, depth over obligation, authenticity over performance. These aren't just principles, they're survival strategies for people who would rather have one genuine connection than a dozen hollow ones. 6. Rebuilding connections on their own terms. Let's end with something crucial. Distance doesn't mean permanent disconnection. For the Sigma male, stepping back from family isn't the end of the story. It's often the beginning of healthier, more authentic relationships built on mutual respect rather than obligatory proximity. Here's what most people miss. Sigma males don't want to be isolated from their families. They want to be connected in ways that honor their nature. The distance they create isn't about punishment or abandonment. It's about establishing the conditions where genuine connection becomes possible. Think of it as relationship reconstruction. The Sigma male tears down the dysfunctional structure built on obligation, guilt, and misunderstanding, then slowly rebuilds something authentic, intentional, and sustainable. But here's the critical part. This reconstruction happens on his terms, not on the family's timeline or according to their expectations. Let me walk you through what this actually looks like in practice. First, the Sigma male establishes non-negotiable boundaries. These aren't suggestions or preferences. These are the foundation posts for any future relationship. He might say, "I'm available for phone calls on Sundays between 2 and 4 p.m." Or, "I'll attend major holidays but not every extended family gathering." Or, "I'm happy to help with genuine emergencies, but I won't participate in manufactured drama." The family usually responds with resistance. They test the boundaries, they guilt trip, they threaten. "After everything we've done for you? You used to be such a sweet boy. Your grandmother is heartbroken." And here's where the Sigma male does something powerful. He doesn't argue, he doesn't justify, he doesn't negotiate. He simply maintains the boundary with calm consistency. Yes or no? Available or not available, will attend or won't attend, no emotional reactivity, no lengthy explanations, just firm clarity. Over time, something interesting happens. The family members who are capable of respect begin to adapt. They learn that respecting his boundaries actually strengthens the relationship because when he does engage, he's fully present rather than resentfully obligated. The quality of interaction dramatically improves because it's built on choice, not coercion. Meanwhile, family members who are incapable of respect reveal themselves. They escalate their manipulation. They play the victim. They try to mobilize other family members against him. And paradoxically, this helps the Sigma male too, because it clarifies who deserves his limited relational energy. Let me share a success story. David, the entrepreneur I mentioned earlier, created strict boundaries with his family. For 2 years, they barely spoke. His mother told relatives he'd abandoned them. His siblings called him selfish. But David held firm. He worked on himself, built his business, and lived authentically. Then something shifted. His younger sister, going through her own awakening, reached out, not to guilt him or demand anything, but to genuinely understand his perspective. They had a 3-hour conversation where David finally felt heard. That conversation became the foundation for a rebuilt relationship based on mutual respect and authentic connection. Gradually, other family members who were willing to meet him on new terms reconnected. Not everyone. His mother still doesn't understand him, and their relationship remains cordial but distant. But the family members who could evolve, those relationships are now deeper and more meaningful than they ever were under the old obligatory structure. Dr. Lisa Park, a family therapist who specializes in adult individuation, explains it this way. The healthiest adult family relationships are renegotiated relationships. They're not the parent-child dynamics of childhood or the automatic assumptions of young adulthood. They're consciously chosen connections between autonomous individuals who decide to remain in each other's lives because they add value, not because they feel trapped by obligation. This is the final stage of the Sigma male's family journey. Selective re-engagement with those who've earned it, maintain distance from those who haven't, and zero guilt about either choice. Here's your action step. If you're a Sigma male navigating this, give yourself permission to rebuild family relationships as conscious choices rather than unconscious obligations. You're not required to maintain the same level of connection with every family member. You're not obligated to sacrifice your authenticity for their comfort. You're allowed to say, "I love you and I need space." And if they can't respect that, you're allowed to increase the space until they can. The goal isn't to have no family. The goal is to have family relationships that enhance your life rather than diminish it. And if that means Thanksgiving dinner with 2 people instead of 20, or video calls twice a year instead of twice a week, or deep conversations with one sibling instead of surface-level chit-chat with all of them, that's not failure, that's success. Because at the end of the day, the Sigma male understands something profound. You cannot be authentically connected to others until you're authentically connected to yourself. And sometimes, protecting that self-connection requires distance from the very people who think they know you best but understand you least. The Sigma male doesn't distance himself from family because he's broken. He does it because he's brave enough to choose authenticity over approval, depth over obligation, and self-respect over social expectation. And that's not something to apologize for, that's something to own. So there you have it. 6 dimensions of why Sigma males create distance from their families, not out of dysfunction, but out of self-preservation and authenticity. From the non-negotiable need for autonomy to the strategic rebuilding of connections on their own terms, every step is intentional. Here's what I want you to understand. If you're a Sigma male watching this, your need for distance doesn't make you defective. It makes you honest. The guilt you might feel, that's just social conditioning trying to force you back into a mold that was never designed for your psychology. Your family might not understand it. Society definitely won't celebrate it. But your mental health and authentic self depend on maintaining these boundaries. And if you're someone trying to understand a Sigma male family member, know this. Their distance isn't rejection, it's recalibration. It's them choosing quality over obligation, depth over frequency, and truth over performance. The greatest gift you can give them is respecting their need for space, while leaving the door open for connection on terms that honor their nature. If this resonated with you, if you've ever felt the weight of family expectations crushing your autonomy, do me a favor. Subscribe to Official Sigma Male. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that they're not alone in this experience. And drop a comment telling me which chapter hit closest to home for you, because this community exists for men who refuse to apologize for their need to walk their own path, even when that path leads away from the family dinner table. The Sigma male journey isn't easy, but it's authentic, and in a world drowning in performative connection, authenticity is the ultimate act of rebellion. I'll see you in the next one.